Every once in a while, a knife maker will put out an extremely high value knife that everyone gets excited about. Well, today we're going to take a look at the Buck Vantage Select in the Paperstone handle model. This Paperstone's kind of cool. The handle's got kind of a navy bluish color tint to it. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a close-up look at it, but it's kind of a really cool design. Now there's no actual scales on the handle, but you'll find in picking up this model that it is extremely grippy. It's almost like the sweat on your hands or your fingers just grips to the knife really well. Kind of gives it a little bit of a gritty feel. Now one of the complaints I've heard a lot about this knife, the Buck Vantage Select series, is that the blades will come not centered. Well, I find this one to be almost exactly centered, so good job, Buck, for doing that. The deployment's extremely quick. Lock up, side to side, no wobble at all. Front to back, extremely tight. Now that liner lock, I'm not sure how strong it is. It seems to be pretty thin, and when it locks underneath the blade, there's not a whole lot of space under the knife. You can kind of see the liner lock is right on the edge of the blade, as opposed to being right on the middle or more towards that side underneath the blade. But it still seems to lock up tightly. So in just everyday general use, I don't think you're going to have any problems with it. But maybe hard use, you might want to look for a stronger locking knife. But this is a great knife. You can pick these up for $30 or less depending on where you buy it from. It's got a deep carry pocket clip, which I really like. Once you put them into your pants or your jeans or your shorts, no one's going to know what it is. It's not going to be sticking up over your outside of your pocket, so no one's gonna think of anything. They're just gonna see the clip. Now, as far as deploying this knife, there's pretty much two ways to do it. There's a flicker or a flipper in the back. Now, it is kind of firm to open it that way, but you can do it if you get your technique down just right without flicking your wrist. But you have to get it just right every time. Otherwise, you need to give it a little flick when you open it up and use the flicker on the back. There is also a deployment hole on top, but there's not a whole lot of room to get your thumb in there. But if you practice with it, you can get it open. I wouldn't say very consistently, but you can do it depending on how big your fingers and fingernails are. Another thing I really like about this blade is that the back is completely open. And there are stainless steel liners inside of the blade, so if you ever want to clean your knife, you can basically just take compressed air, blow it out, and you won't have any problems at all. That's one thing I don't like about knives that have the steel or plastic back. It's really hard to clean them if you get dust or oil or grime in there. With a completely open design, all you gotta do is just blow it out, or you can use water even and use compressed air to dry it. There's a lot of reviews out here about this knife, so I'm not going to get into all the details, but it is a 3 1/4 inch blade. As far as the weight, I weighed it myself and got 4 ounces. So it's still somewhat lightweight, but not light enough to where it feels like a toy. And that's one thing I really like about my knives. I like them to have a little bit of weight to them, not to be too extremely heavy, but I think that this knife is just the right size. In hand, it feels really, really well. Fits my hand extremely well. The bottom end of the knife just barely goes underneath my pinky, and it fits and feels really nice in hand. It's got a great grip to it. No jimping, but I don't think that you need it for a knife like this. It molds the shape of my hand really well. One thing I forgot to mention, you guys, is that you might want to see a size comparison with another blade. Well, how about the Spyderco Tenacious? If I was to roll that in there, that's the size compared to the Buck Vantage Select. They're both in the same price range. Both are great knives. One thing I will point out is the Spyderco is much wider when closed, so it's going to take up more of your pocket. If I was to hold them together like that, you can see that the Spyderco is much wider. The handle width is pretty similar. I'd say that the Spyderco Tenacious might be slightly wider, but not by any large stretch. So anyways, I just wanted to show you guys the Buck Vantage Select in the Paperstone model. I hope you like it. If you want to pick it up, they're about $30, and I recommend that you check it out. Thanks for watching.